Hello, Chinook and Steelhead members. Bob Reese here with the Guides Forecast. Thank you for being subscribers. Today, I will give you your forecast for tomorrow, which is Monday, the 23rd of August. Here we are in some of the best peak week fishing for salmon down in the Lower Columbia, and we're being overrun with coho. Not that that's a bad thing, and there's some quality coho coming in. Certainly some Chinooks around as well, but it's just that the Chinooks aren't biting so well, not nearly as well as the coho anyway. But nonetheless, this is a good time to be out there, and I think I'm going to end up doing the same thing I did today. Is sure a bunch of salmon. I assume Chinooks and coho just below the bridge on the Washington side. And can't seem to get them to bite. I mean, we're in max ebb at 6 and 7 in the morning, so even though we're not really screaming downhill, those fish aren't biting very well. But I am consistently getting bites every day over there on the Washington side. I don't think that's going to change. So I'll start my day down there, but again, as I did today, spend a bunch of my time down in the lower river. I did go in the ocean today, and it looks like the ocean is supposed to be pretty similar tomorrow, a 5-foot swell at 8 seconds. That's supposedly what it was today, but I think it was a bit nicer out there. So I imagine the bar is going to be restricted again tomorrow because of the big minus tide we have and the fact it is a 5-foot swell at 8 seconds. So count on some bar restrictions, but it's going to continue to be a strong option. Those salmon, mostly coho, are not far offshore of the mouth of the Columbia. Buoy 7 is not far to the west of Buoy 10. Buoy 3 is not that far either, so you don't have to travel very far to find some quality fish if it's safe and fun to recreate outside. So you might definitely put that in your arsenal as an option for tomorrow. Winds, again, are supposed to be 10 to 15, but they certainly weren't today as they were predicted to be. So I'm not sure who's running that weather program at NOAA and fish weather and all the above, but it's not as bad as they're saying it's supposed to be out there. So in the river, that again, it's still going to be a good idea to either troll the red line or along the Chinook wing jetties, and that slow troll towards the end of the tide from Buoy 11 to Buoy 10. On the last trickle of outgoing, you'll just have to run back upstream and make pass after pass, because it'll take a while for that tide to turn and start coming in, where you'll be holding against an incoming tide on that flood. And you will have some good opportunities for Chinook there. Really one of the better times to target Chinook is that last part of outgoing tide down there in the lower river. So continue to put that into your strategy if you're wanting to catch Chinook salmon down here. And of course you're wanting to catch Chinook salmon down here. So as far as coho, again, I anticipate with a strong flood tomorrow, there'll be a good coho bite at Buoy 10. And one of my guide buddies had really kind of reiterated how important it is to be kind of right on the front lines when those coho come through. If you're back a couple, 3, 4 boats, those coho get swept up by the front line fishermen. So spread yourselves out. It's not a bad idea to fish way to the north and somewhat to the south of right from Buoy 10. It's a long swath of water there, and fish come across all parts of that bar. So don't think you got to be hovering right at Buoy 10 to get the job done. So the bridge bite did not go today like it had for those folks. We were off the water by then, but the late afternoon incoming tide up on the Washington side did not yield fish for the folks that did yesterday. You hear mixed reports. Another guide reported that it saved his day, so that's the bridge bite on the Washington side. So you can't have eyes on everybody, and you're going to get varying reports from different guides that I have to assume are accurate, but inconsistent nonetheless from one small section of the river to the other. So it sounds like it's still going to be a good option to hover at the bridge, either on the Washington side, and apparently there was some Chinook and probably some coho caught in the incoming tide over on the Oregon side as well, close to high tide. So There was a few boats that did the upstream troll, even in shallower water to the south of the main mass of the fleet there in 15 foot of water, and did fare, not epic, but did fare. These high tides pushed those fish up into those shallower flats, and sounds like it's happening here today as well, and probably will be because we're still in the midst of these strong incoming tides. They'll push the Chinook and the Coho into the shallower areas. So, and that's what I have for you for, how it looks for tomorrow. That high tide is going to get later by the day. It's going to be pretty late in the afternoon tomorrow. So, there's good fishing in the early morning and in the mid morning and in the late afternoon. So there's always going to be these periods of slow activity, but for the most part, the fish are fairly bitey for buoy 10, but a lot of fish still being lost by anglers. But those will be the primary areas to target during those specific times of the tide. And good luck if you get out fishing.